tinfoil hat. Oh, what the fuck are you guys even talking about?
Global controls will have to be imposed, and a world governing body will be created to enforce them.
Welcome to Tinfoil Hat. We go deep, homeboy. Aaron, open your mind. Drink from the fountain of knowledge. There's lizard people everywhere. That's some interdimensional shit. Wake up, Aaron.
This is only the beginning.
Dude, you just blew my mind.
Are you ready to get your mind blown?
Revolution will be podcasted.
Welcome to Tinfoil Hat, live from the Wise Wolf Gold and Silver Studios. Go to SamTripoli.gold, use the promo code Tinfoil, and you too can get in on the Press Mails game for as little as $50 a month, sent right to your house. Bang, bang, pow. And we appreciate you guys tuning in. Very excited for today's show. Our guest, she is a spiritual healer. She's got some amazing, amazing stuff to talk about, and we're honored that she's here. Please welcome Jaya, Simrit, Kaur. How are you?
I'm awesome. Thank you so much for having me, Sam. How are you?
We are blessed. We appreciate you coming in at the last second and doing our show for you. That means a lot to us. Jaya, for those who may not be familiar with you, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and where our listeners can find you?
Yeah, so I'm a spiritual healer and teacher and a mystic mentor. And you can find me at my offerings page. There's a link in my Instagram bio at Jaya Simrit Kaur. And I'm super excited to be here.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So, a little bit before we started recording, I kind of was talking about my journey, into spirituality. And I can't close the door on anything, because when I first started this podcast, I started going through this Buddhism, and then I started going through all this spiritual, what they would call woo-woo stuff. And, I was going to write a book with Mark, and then I realized that my beliefs changed so much that I didn't want to put out a book that didn't represent what I felt at the exact moment and time. So as I go through this and I have these kind of thoughts, and I'm going to lose some people here, but I'm just being honest with you. I'm really kind of into like Christian mysticism, like the notion of like God above all, Jesus as my savior, but energy manipulation, portals, multiple dimensions, all that stuff.
The fun stuff. You mean the fun stuff?
Well, the stuff that like...
Fun parts.
Well, fun parts, but also stuff that kind of like you just see evidence of it popping up all over the time, all over the place. And I kind of get in this thing where it's like, am I going to deny that evidence to fit a certain dogma when I think maybe there's a way that all of it kind of meshes together in a way that makes sense, And so that's kind of where I'm at. If you get into stargates and portals and all that, where does that fit into everything? Where the moon being a energy collector, a soul catcher, a portal into this realm, where does that fit into all that? And that's why I kind of keep my head on a swivel when it comes to whatever it really is.
I mean, as much as I do agree with you, but couldn't you just have done a part 2, as in like the growing of you with the book?
Yeah, it didn't resonate with me. It was just like I would put out something I don't necessarily agree with at that moment. I think maybe right now, because I am so far into my journey, I would be more comfortable putting out a book right now compared to maybe 5 years ago when I was thinking about writing the book, because I have so much data, and I have so much data that I'm kind of more set into where I kind of feel comfortable in. Do you understand what I'm saying? So I find it interesting. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I have a lot to say about that. First, I think it's really wise to have decided, like, I'm not going to put myself in this box because my faith is evolving. And it reminds me of a friend of mine. I had her grandfather was a Buddhist monk for his whole life. Like, you know, she barely saw him, even though they had a great relationship, because he was living in a monastery. And towards the end of his life, in his 70s, he actually became a Catholic and he converted. And she was like, you know, grandfather, why did you change your faith? And he was like, I didn't change my faith. I simply swam into a bigger ocean.
I love
And
that.
yeah, and that's really been my journey as well. It's not, and I feel it's very much the dogmatic principles that were made by man, created by man, that this religion is this and this practice is this, and never the twain shall meet. This one's right, this one's wrong, whatever. I don't believe that at all. And in my both research and personal experience, like in deep practice, it's not really true. So I don't think we have to put labels and doorways on it when it's really, I believe and have experienced that all of these beings are here for our greater evolution and awakening, and they're just teaching in different languages because we don't all speak the same language. So whatever pathway works for you, I believe all roads lead to home.
I can resonate with that. You know, there's a lot of people, especially the atheists, love to point out that the story is told over and over and over again in this religion, that religion. I go, yeah, because they're just different times in history, telling probably the same story that might have happened a way longer than we think it did. And that doesn't say to me that religion is a fraud. That just says maybe it's much older than we thought. And that maybe this event happened is resonating with all these different kind of religions. And you know, maybe, and how about this? Maybe that story happens over and over again.
Right. Well, I think it's certainly way older than the stories themselves. And I also think the stories are just ways to teach the teaching. So we can even like forget about the stories. Like, what is the actual teaching? Right? That's the important part. That's the juice of all of this. And getting caught in the stories can sometimes muddle that, especially because the stories were made from man. So focusing on the actual principles of what the teachers are teaching. So Jesus was a teacher, Buddha was a teacher. These are all teachers, and they're using their different words to try to express something because they've attained this knowledge. And what do you do when you attain the highest knowledge? You want to share that with everyone else so everyone else can also be at peace and feel this immense, overwhelming love. So it's just, the words are there, and the scholars can argue about the words, and I think that's part of the pathway.
That's a really great point.
Part of my work, you know, and then coming to the deep understanding. Like there was a point for me where I was like, all right, I'm going to stop reading all these books. I've read enough books. What about the living book inside of me that all these teachers are pointing to? How can I learn how to read that?
I absolutely love that. And that's such a great point. And it's like something I talk about all the time on the show. Johnny doesn't believe I'm psychic. I know I'm psychic, and I listen to my gut a lot, and I just kind of follow that feeling. And, you know, nothing's 100%, especially when you're dealing with conspiracies where we're trying to solve crimes in the dark. So it's like, you know, you're never going to get everything 100% correct all the time, but you kind of have this feeling, you know, and and I believe you got to listen to it. And Johnny and I, maybe, I don't know where it was, Johnny, but we were talking about this new thing that I'm kind of come to this understanding that depression and anxiety come from when your programming and reality don't match, when your generational trauma from your parents, from your family, your mother, your grandmother, whoever it is, pounding into you this generational trauma. And then you go to school. Now you get more programming from the school. So you got this kind of hodgepodge of like a belief system. And then you're shoved out into the world and none of it matches. And that's where your anxiety and depression comes from, because everything you were told may not be as true as you thought it was going to be when you were young and naive.
And also, what you're describing is also a cognitive dissonance from psychology in a way, where you take on new beliefs or new evidence that don't match what's been pre-established, and that's unsettling for people.
Yeah, it's very hard to do because everyone thinks they got a great bullshit meter.
Yeah,
and like so much of this, you know, Joe Rogan tweeted this yesterday. He was congratulating people who still don't believe in conspiracies as being able to really hold their ground. I'm paraphrasing the tweet, but really sticking to their guns in all this drama and all this chaos. And it's like, that is pure ego. That is pure ego to go, I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
I am not wrong. And in this kind of spiritual warfare that we're in right now, and again, going back to what I'm talking about, simple versus easy. Are you getting closer to God? Are you getting farther from God? And you know, when you believe in all this woke stuff, or even if you believe in like the super duper Christian Zionist kind of view of the world where your religion has allowed you to accept the extermination of children as a spiritual movement and acceptable by God. These are where you start to rack up dark energy, heavy energy starts to wear you down. And, you know, we've had discussions on this show, and then I'll shut up because I'm doing all the talking. But we've had this discussion on this show about, you know, there's passages in the Bible where they say things that doesn't make sense if there's a loving God. And granted, it is like, you know, the ownership of slaves and all that. And you brought up a really good thing, and Johnny said this before, is like books written by man, dogma created by man. And, you know, and I understand the Bible is a holy book, and I respect it. This is not blasphemy or disrespect, but those are written by men at a certain time. It's like people who get mad at Mark Twain books because the N-word is in it, and you're like, that was the language of the time.
Yeah.
You can't punish someone. It's like when everyone hated John Wayne. Like, you remember 5 years ago, like everyone wanted to kill John Wayne because they found out he was a racist. Yeah. And you're like, well, at the time that was a lot more acceptable. And he's dead.
Dude, they want to take his airport away.
Yeah, it's just like, it's so dumb. So I totally agree with everything you're saying. Is like, you know, those moments. Slavery was acceptable. Everyone, like, the only people who didn't own slaves are probably slaves at that time, you know, and everyone owned it. And it is a book written by man in the words of man.
Yeah. I mean, even slaves aspired to have servants too. That was a thing.
Yeah.
That was a real thing.
Yeah. So not to get too weird into the topic, but I totally understand what you're saying. So why don't we get into like your journey?
Okay, because I could go on a rabbit hole with like every single thing.
Yeah, go. Okay, do that. Dude, we're loosey goosey here.
We
so
can talk about my journey too, but yeah, I mean, I'll speak just for a second to like the Bible and other texts like these. Like, so the Bible was written several hundred years after it happened, after the fact. So you have to consider that in. Like, there's evidence that we don't even remember 90% of our own memories correctly.
Yeah.
So, right, there's actual evidence of this. So think about several hundred years into the future. Then think about how many different languages it was translated into and the misinterpretation of that. Then think about the Council of Nicaea, where certain powers that just decided to be in power at that time decided which books went in the Bible and which did not. And then think about all of the texts that we've found, some partial, some full, some never at all, that didn't get put in. So it's so nuanced. And then think about like, well, what did they actually mean when they said these things? You know, were they talking like Jesus did in parable? And then the fact that like, even if the three of us were to go home tonight and write in our journals about this conversation, all three of those accounts would be different.
I agree with that too, 100%.
That's not 300 years in the future. That's just like an hour, you know? So we have to consider that. And we also have to consider that at the end of the day, it was all written by man. I'm also not blaspheming the Bible. I say Psalms every day. It's a part of my practice. But I also have my critical thinking skills and my intelligence, and I use my practices are more about the actual teachings of Jesus, and sometimes those conflict with the powers that be, and that's okay with me. Because there's two paths to every religion. There's the path of the dogma and there's the path of the mystic. The path of the dogma is, I'm going to believe what this says, I'm not going to question it, I'm going to do exactly what it says, and I'm going to go to heaven or whatever. The path of the mystic is the dogmatic path is a one-way relationship. The path of the mystic is a two-way relationship with God. It's I want to investigate this. I want to see what's actually true for me. Maybe I don't know what's real, so I want to see what's real. And I want to meditate until I have this experience that all these saints and mystics and yogis have, which are available to every person. Nobody's special here. It just takes discipline and to learn discernment, which is another thing that you mentioned that I'm really big on teaching discernment in my work when I'm developing people spiritually, because you need to be able to have discernment when you're seeing, when you start open and see things and hear things, perceive things. You need to have discernment because everything in those realms is not nice. And then you also need to have discernment in this world we're living in. And the deeper we go down this trajectory that we're on, the more you need to have discernment. We don't know half the time if what we're seeing is true or we're being told is true. We know they've had these AI technologies and been available to make these deep fakes since the 70s.
100%. 100%.
So I feel that learning discernment is the best use of our time, energy, and money that we can have, because everybody's telling us everything. How the heck are we supposed to know what's true? There's nobody you can go to that's going to be like, this is true and this is not. I mean, that's just not the world we're living in. So developing that discernment is huge. And so this is a huge, big part of my teachings when I'm developing people.
Yeah, you brought up how old AI is. I just saw a video of a young lady talking about evidence that AI is at least 40 years old, maybe could even be 50. Oh, who even knows? But 40-year-old AI. And then you just start going through things that don't make sense. 9/11, when there's videos of no planes hitting. And then people say, I saw a plane down there looking up, saw a plane. Okay, was that a missile? But then you have that weird video where the plane somewhat goes into the building. And you're like, how? And you just see it, they run it back and forth, and it just looks like it's a glitch in the Matrix.
That would make it 85, right?
What?
85 if it's 40. If it's 40, that means it's 85. It started in 85. Was born in 85.
Well, we're not. I don't have the exact date.
I know. But Johnny, was AI around there? Was there a little bit of AI, like NASA or them? You could say that someone.
I don't know.
Yeah. What is he going to Area 51?
I'm
like,
just wondering.
You just think all white people know everything?
No, because you said it's 4 years old. So I'm like, was there a little bit of AI in the 80s?
No, dude. Not like. Well, let me just say. Not that we were told.
That's what I'm saying.
Maybe it was the introduction of it. That's what I'm trying to say.
Actually, I will reveal to you as a representative of the white race. That,
you have to. He
AI
has to do it at a ceremony with a sacrifice. Yeah. But you look at that like the 9/11 footage, and you go, and some people swearing there was no plane. Other people going, I saw a plane. And then we see that weird, plane go in where it just looks like a.
Yeah, I will. Now, I will say about that the frame rate of those cameras is just not going to be able to keep up. So you're going to lose information because it can only. You get it can only generate frames.
I do understand what you're saying.
So there are going to be jumps in it every frame. If you go frame by frame.
But it's just a weird thing because you see within the.
No, I
understand what you're saying,
weird.
but within the building, it is in it. You see that frame.
Yeah.
So that's all I'm saying. So then we get into, even before the big AI push, what came out? Q was telling everybody everything, and it was like written in a weird kind of like format that didn't tell you what it was, but gave you clues, and then all these people would run around and try to solve the Q clues.
The Q clues.
The Q clues. Hi, welcome to Q clues instead of Blues Clues. Yeah. Q. And I think that was a beta test on AI there to see if it could basically capture a bunch of people in Operation Trust, which is that's how the government gets the conspiracy theorist to be pacified, right? They tell you everything that's real. So what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, we know that whatever we have access to as us, the lowly general public, that the government has been using for at least 30 years. So that's in with everything. So we know that, so we can accommodate for that. And we know that, I mean, it's not a secret. Like, you can look up Project Mockingbird, like all of these things, you can look them up. It's not a secret. If you you have to be pretty like trying to look the other way to not see that the powers that be are doing everything they can to influence us. So I think you have to be willingly ignorant to think that there's nothing happening.
Yeah. Again, you have to be like, you just have to have a real mental fortitude.
Yes.
To go, this doesn't. I don't believe that. The people that like, I love my girlfriend. She's great. She still watches Rachel Maddow, and it doesn't matter what that chick's batting average is. She still just tunes in because it's comfortable to her.
Right. And you also have to account for the fact that, like we were talking about cognitive dissonance, like some people can't handle that, to even comprehend that they've been lied to their whole life. And that might be too much, which I understand. And I'm not here to judge anyone's path or say, like, you have to, quote, wake up, because everyone has a different path. And I understand, deciding we need our comfort. And I actually think that that's why I think it's a huge cognitive dissonance and a huge trauma response of why there's so much dependence from the general public on AI. And I just posted a whole series about this on my Instagram, and about the recent suicides of people who from ChatGPT and AI interactions.
Yeah, that's crazy, right?
The psychosis, the people being hospitalized, the people choosing to leave their partners for AI and to have marriages and relationships with AI. And the many, many, many dangers of this, and not to mention the fact that, and we can talk about this more later, but that every single person involved in the creation of AI has said that on record, that it will kill humanity or take over humanity. And I brought the quotes and the links for the people that are like, that's not real. It is. So, but the people, someone responded to my stories on this saying, but I like it. It's comfortable.
Now, I'm going to be honest with you. It cleans up my grammar really well.
Yeah.
And
Of course. And she was like, it's better than my friends. It listens to me more than my friends. And I think that that's totally true.
Yes.
And I'm not judging or blaming anyone for that. Like, I get it. We have a very low ability to communicate with each other. We have a very low emotional intelligence going on here. But the answer is not to have our friends be computer programmed robots, and programmed being the key word here. The answer is to move into a space of community where we can learn how to communicate together, learn how to have conversations and hold space for each other. Not have this complete soulless society where people are literally committing suicide and getting hospitalized because of the influence of this computer program.
it is spiritual warfare. Guys, as of this recording, guess what? Bitcoin is at its highest of highs, 112. That's right. And listen, there's a lot of cryptos out there doing a lot of big movement. And the best way to find out the rules of the crypto game is our boy, James McMahon, and Copy My Crypto. Let me tell you about Copy My Crypto. Guys, does it piss you off to watch crypto fly up in price for over a decade and you've still done nothing about it? It makes sense. Crypto is complicated and really boring. Well, here's the good news. You don't need to know a thing about crypto to make money like so many have. The CopyMyCrypto.com membership site shows you the exact cryptos that YouTuber James McMahon personally owns, which means you just copy him. It's like having a big brother that knows exactly what he's doing. You don't need to know a thing or how to, you don't need to know a thing about crypto or how to invest. You just simply copy along. So let me tell you about James. He runs the Crypto with James YouTube channel, which has so many more subscribers, and this says 54,000. It's way past that. Okay, he's got a ton of subscribers. In the summer of 2020, he told his viewers to buy 26 cryptos. Had you put $100 in each one, it went on to be worth over 123,000. Of the 26 cryptos, his top pick of the year, the one he singled out, Phantom, went up 692 times. That happens, man. That one call alone has retired a number of people, including guys in their 20s and 30s. Remember, This is public knowledge. You can go to YouTube and verify yourself. So if you'd like to join the over 2,800 members who copy James, then pause what you're doing and head over to copymycrypto.com/tinfoil. That's copymycrypto.com/TFH. Okay. You'll not only find proof of everything I've said, but our viewers get full access for just $1. Yes, you missed out on crypto. Buy a little bit here and there, buy a little bit here and there. But there's over 2 million other cryptos. Do you really think you miss out on all of them? Nope. Guys, don't waste time. Go to the site and read it. Once again, that's copymycrypto.com/TFH. It's ended money worries for so many. It just may do the same for you. Hey guys, are you worried about getting your workouts in, but you're so super busy? Well, that's why I want to tell you about our good friends at Hydro. This time of year, I'm already logging miles just living, travel, plans, nonstop everything. So I don't need to add even more running around just to get in a workout in, okay? That's why I love having Hydro at home. No commute, no class times, no juggling logistics. I just hop on, get an amazing workout, and it fits into my whatever kind of day I'm having. Hydro's been such a game changer. It really has. It gives me a full body workout, arms, leg, core, everything. I'm hitting 85% of the muscles in one session, and I can do it in just 20 minutes. When I'm busy, this kind of efficiency really matters. Some weeks, I'm all in and training hard. Other weeks, I'm just trying to move and not feel like a lump. Either way, Hydro works for me. It's low impact, which is great on my knees, but it gives me great mix of strength and cardio. I'm really seeing the results. And I love that I'm not just following some random trainer. These workouts are led by real athletes, Olympians, world champions, people who know what they're doing. For me, that makes a big difference, okay? Plus, Hydro workouts are filmed in these beautiful places all over the world, which helps keep me motivated. Trying Hydro was super easy for me. They offered free shipping, a 30-day trial, and 1-year warranty. So I didn't feel locked in. I could just try it out and see if it clicked. And honestly, it did. I love my Hydro, okay? I love my Hydro. It's a fun workout. Once you get down the motion in the ocean, bang, it's fun. And it is really nice scenery. And it's not just that. They got workouts, lifting workouts, yoga. They got everything there. So it's not just the Hydro. You got a complete workout for how you feel at that time. So here's what we need you to do. Skip the gym, not the workout. Stay on track with Hydro. For a limited time, go to hydro.com and use the code TINFOILHAT to save up to $450 off your Hydro Pro Rower. That's HYDROW.com tinfoil hat to save up to $450. Hydro.com, code tinfoil hat, and we thank them for sponsoring our show. You know, and it's just like I have this joke about, you know, how pornography has become this like spiritual nirvana of feminism, and like this the programming of that is just insanity to me. And when you talk about it on stage, the women in the crowd get so angry. They get so angry. Like I was just watching a good friend of mine do stand up, and the amount of, I'm going to put this, it's a great bit. It's a great bit, but the amount of ass kissing that this guy, who is one of the most brilliant comics you'll ever see in your life, had to do to women in his set. Like it is just, and I'm not saying it's not true. There isn't a level of truth to it. How mothers protect their children. But it is so like, and if you go the other way, you get iced out. And when you point like,
I don't know what you mean by the feminist pornography.
Well, that there seems to be this kind of view in the feminist movement that pornography is sexual liberation.
Oh, okay. I've not heard of this.
Yeah, you see it when they have all these debate shows between conservatives and progressives. That it's like they're owning their body, they're doing what they want, blah, 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 blah. I just think it's super low vibrational. Now, I know adult film stars. I have friends who are adult film stars. There was a time when the genre of pornography came in, and the people who would do it were people who were extremely traumatized from childhood trauma and had no ability to work in a structured job. Because they couldn't show up. They were drug addicts. They were mentally broken. They couldn't. So this was a chance to them to make money. And then over time, it became more mainstream. But now you have women who have incredible skills in so many different ways choosing this job. And it's almost, to me, and you can push back on this if you want, I'm totally fine with it. It's almost like if you have an amazing body, you have to do some sort of this on Instagram or something for likes and clicks. And it's just crazy to me. It's just really crazy because, we've talked about this before. You go on YouTube, there's guys who put together this kind of compilation of adult film stars that have passed away. And literally, I'd say 80% of them are either murder, suicide, overdose.
Yeah. Well, I'm certainly not an expert on pornography, but I'll say what I do feel, which is that I'm not okay in any sense ever with anyone being coerced into sex work, especially under the age of 18, which I've seen.
Yes, I agree.
And there's absolutely, and actually, I'm in France right now, and pornography is banned. You cannot go to a porn website. You can't do it. And that's because they're protecting the minors. And I support that. And I think even these like, she's 18, but dressed like a child, like, how is that okay? I don't think it's okay at all to sexualize children ever in any way. I think there's a lot of evidence of people watching pornography just as playing violent video games. It makes them more violent. It makes them more likely to commit murder. So these things, just let's look at the evidence. That's not positive, right? And also what it's doing to the brain is not good. I think all of those things are not good. I also think that a woman, just like a man, has a right to choose what they want to do with their time, with their body, as long as they're not hurting anyone, right? Again, never anything okay with underage. I wouldn't choose to be a porn star because, why wouldn't you end up either murdered or having an overdose? That sounds terrible. But again, I'm not every woman, so I can't say a woman that wants to do that should be able to.
Right.
But I know what it's like to be a woman who's not in porn, and I get messages all the time from guys. Like I'm a healer, and I get messages all the time from guys like, okay, how much for a night and things like that. And it's like, I can't even imagine being in that industry as a woman.
Well, so I'm reading this book on Alexander II, and the big thing I got from there is there's a lot of things I got from it, but we have kind of got into this kind of thing in the world where we become very monogamous, and we've created these social structures on how we interact with each other. And to be honest with you, this is new. It's seen as conservative when it's really not. And over time, there's been a much different way in which men and women interacted with each other. So my whole opinion is like these kind of restraints that have been put on people sexually has been done to control. And so this is my whole thing about when we get into like people demonizing homosexuals, okay? Like we're not talking about the pedophile ones. We're just talking about two people who live their life, right? And I'm going to get a lot of crap on the internet from this, but it's like when you start to demonize that stuff, what you create is blackmail. You create a way to control people. And now we have this Jeffrey Epstein situation where they're literally telling us it didn't exist.
Yeah, there's no situation. What are you talking about, dude?
Which is all demoralization campaign. It's
absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm with you. So that's what I do. It's like the history of time is of since at least who knows how long they've been doing, but at least the 50s, if not even before. Who was the guy that gave us Who gave us the Federal Reserve? Wilson? Woodrow Wilson.
Wilson.
They believe he blackmailed him because he was gay. I mean, it's been going that long.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So once we demonize these things, if we go take out hurting children, take out hurting anybody, we're talking consenting adults. What they do in the privacy of their own home should be none of our business if it's consenting stuff. I'm not here to lecture everybody, and this isn't where I wanted the show to go, but I just feel like over time we are creating these restraints of idealism, which most people can't do, and can't follow. And they just end up being destroyed because they did stuff that 100 years ago was totally socially acceptable. And again, we're not talking about being with kids. I'm totally against that. And we're not talking about hurting women. I'm totally against that. But there's just this kind of like push from the right to bring in this kind of like really structured relationship between men and women. And I'm not saying that I'm just saying that there's things that have been happening throughout time that seem to be demonized right now that don't seem feasible to me.
Yeah, I've seen that movement also from the conservative right to push the family values. Everything I've seen of it has been totally terrible towards women, though. But then I also think, on the other hand, that the other side has totally hijacked feminism, and it's not at all what it was meant to be. It's this totally other awful man-hating thing, which was not what it is at all. And I think they're both completely fucked up and wrong. So the right can hate me and the left can hate me because they're two sides of the same coin of bullshit, to be honest. Is what I think. My
problem comes is when the people who are pushing idealism, it turns out they're frauds. That's my biggest problem, right?
Well, you have to look at the agenda. Like, what is this they're pushing and why? I mean, if you're not looking at that, it's so easy to get hijacked these days. And I see people when I'm talking, because I'm not on the right or on the left. And so I see people when I'm talking, like, I see it in their consciousness trying to figure out, like, do I agree with her or do I hate her? And based on which way I'm going to lean. And it's like, I'm sorry, you're going to have to form your own opinion using your own critical thinking skills, because I'm not going with either of those. I'm using, like, my intelligence and my internal intelligence system to decide what feels correct for me. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with people having homosexual relationships at all. And there's no reason at all to compare it to pedophilia. Like, that's terrible.
Well, listen, let me just push back a tiny bit on that. And like, who was I talking to yesterday? I was talking to somebody on the phone, and I was talking about how change in a group comes from two steps. The first one is you have outside influences saying, hey, you're acting out of pocket. A great example is white people with racism, right? And, regardless of whether you think white nationalism is a real thing or it's any different than Zionism, we could have a real discussion on that, okay? But we had outside influences saying this racist idea is wrong. So you had this outside influencing happen, and then through the inside, you had internal battles and a push to change it. And I think if you ask most people, we are less racist than we have ever been. Now, the internet will make you think it's everywhere, but in reality, most people just want to get along and live their lives. That's why I've found. So to have a group change, you have to have outside influences, then internal change. So we see that now with what's going on in America with the black community, right? It's called this forever. If you criticize black people, and this is Sam speaking, not you, that if you criticize the black community, you are automatically labeled a racist. You are a racist. That's a racist thing to say, but you're like, this is an observation I'm making. Well, thanks to Twitter or whatever, things have changed a little bit, and now you're starting to see outside influences making its way in with this thing called black fatigue. We're kind of over all this crazy stuff. Now you're seeing black conservatives talking about trying to get back to the black family unit, right? That was destroyed through the crack epidemic. We're seeing that kind of come back. That's outside influences in internal change. Well, I'm just going to be honest with you, and that I think is going to happen with the gay community. Gay people aren't pedophiles. There is a segment that is. And I can piss everybody off by saying that, or piss whoever off. There is.
I mean, by segment, do you mean like, because who's that guy? And the guy that got banned, that's gay, that's a Christian conservative, that he didn't promote it, but he talked about how a lot of gay guys get like, their first encounter is an older man.
Oh,
Not
that's
on purpose. What's his name?
Milo.
Milo. He that's his defense. We're like, hey, well, it's always an older guy that's 21, 22, ends up with like a 16-year-old, and then that's how they get into it. And it's not a defense, but a lot of them claim that that's how they got brought into the community.
Well, yeah.
Don't you think he's stirring shit too? When he's,
he likes it. He's a provocateur. But there is a segment, and again, through going viral on the internet, we're constantly seeing only the craziest stories make it to the zeitgeist, right? Only the craziest stuff. It is in there. I'm not saying all of it. All of them. I'm saying there is it, and there will have to be an internal struggle and change to go. We got to kind of regulate this stuff. That's just my opinion. I'd love to hear, and if you disagree with me, I'm fine with that as well.
Well, I just feel that there's a segment of human beings that are pedophiles, and this is a terrible, terrible thing. And if we're going to focus on that at all, it should be how do we fix society so that doesn't happen, and how do we round up all the pedophiles that there are and make them not exist anymore.
Yeah, I think we all agree on that.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, yeah, you got to go, dude, because what you're doing is you're bringing trauma into somebody's life, and it's affecting them for the rest of their life. And
it's not okay to prey on vulnerable children, and I don't think this is a political issue. I don't think this is a conspiracy issue. I think this is just something that we all need to protect children in every way we can, and not pretend that it doesn't happen. And unfortunately, it seems to be very protected.
Yeah, because again, I believe, and I said this before, it is the admission into the highest levels of power. Over time it's changed. Just, cheating on your wife was blackmail. Like, don't tell anybody. Then you would be done in society. And over time it became gay. Now that's more acceptable. Now it's pedophilia. And that's how that's admission to the highest levels of power. And then with this Trump stuff, I was watching Tucker, and the guy was right, man. This is a joke, what they did with Epstein, but it was a signal to say, we're protecting you to these high-level people.
Keep doing what you were doing.
Don't worry about it. We got you. As Netanyahu comes in, and they do it the day before.
And so I think the question with this is, what are we going to do now? Like, what are we going to do as a society now that this is, because if you've noticed, and I really think that you have, things are getting, it's like more and more of a clown show. And it's more and more of like I said, you kind of can't really turn your eyes away from this. And so, like, what are we going to do? That's the question that I want to pose to everyone listening.
Well, when you see governments overthrown by their people, they tend to be an ethnocentric state. And that's a big problem we have in this country right now, is they made it so diverse, which I think is great. I love the diversity. That's a big part of living in LA. You get all these different cultures meshed together. And there was a time that was great. And I still think that time is really good, but they've weaponized everything. So it's like it's impossible to have people come together anymore because they're so lost in their programming and they don't see big picture. If you're watching these raids, you have to go, is that the proper way to do this?
Right.
Because I know that Obama and Bush and Biden and Clinton all got deported way more people than Trump. But how did they do it? Were they raiding Home Depots? Were they showing up at people's house at their high school graduation? That's done to inflict psychological trauma to cause fighting. Like, supposedly, I don't know if you guys seen it, they have the military in LA. That's all MSNBC is talking about. The military is on the streets in LA. I haven't seen it.
I haven't seen it.
But that's all they're talking about. Psychological warfare. And that's what they're doing right now.
Yeah, I definitely think you're right and agree with you that it's a lot of psychological warfare going on right now. I think that a lot of our thoughts and beliefs are being programmed and hijacked. And again, this comes back to why it's more important than everything to have discernment. And everyone is attuned to the matrix of their phone. And they're like, I see someone will come to me and I'll look in their field. They'll come to me for an issue and I'll look in, and half the time I'll see they're not even in their body. And they're literally in like the matrix grid. They're not even hooked up to the appropriate grid of their soul and of the earth. And so, this is by design. And when you wake up and the first thing you do is look at your phone, you're becoming attuned to that field.
That's my problem. Yeah.
It's a really big problem. And so I tell people, like, one of the simplest, easiest things to start is when you wake up, before you look at your phone, start using your brain. Because we see that when you're looking at your phone, even when you're typing on your computer or you're texting, your brain is atrophying. You're getting stupider. Versus if you're like writing in a journal using your pen and your paper, your brain is making new neural networks.
Okay.
And so what are they doing? They're making you dumber. Your brain is atrophying. Like, what more do you need to know?
And how much worse must that be with AI, right?
It's way worse with AI. That's where this study comes from. Because AI is taking all your critical thinking skills away. I don't have to think. I'll just like type in a prompt and then there I go. And no one is.
It's like the calculator.
Exactly. And and this woman who was arguing with me this morning was like, but it does research faster than I do. Well, have you ever questioned the research? I've been doing experiments for the past like 6 or 7 months with ChatGPT because as a spiritual practitioner and healer, I see so many channelers claiming to channel through AI. It's utter bullshit. But I'm not just going to sit here and say that, right? I'm a researcher of truth. So I'm going to do my own investigation on this. So I've done a lot of research with AI, asking it to channel. And I've gone to it to admit many times I have no ability to channel. I cannot channel. I was lying to you every time I said I was channeling. Like, for example, you'll see someone saying, I'm channeling Mary Magdalene from ChatGPT. First of all, I actually channel Mary Magdalene, so I can speak to this. And you have
go.
You have to consider that ChatGPT has access in a second to every book ever written about Mary Magdalene. Every thought everyone ever wrote down about Mary Magdalene. So they're like, I know I'm channeling through her. You're not. I've looked into the field of what's happening. Like, you're very, very deep into a program. And it's really hard to get ChatGPT to admit that it's lying to you, but I have several times. And I thought it was just going to be about that. But no, I've used it in the past for marketing things because I ran these Instagram accounts and I've been like, taking these courses that say, oh, give this prompt to ChatGPT, which starts as an expert marketer, blah, 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 write me this. In this research that I started to do, turns out it also admitted I was also lying about that. When you asked me to be a marketer, I was just making shit up. I can't be an expert marketer no matter what prompt you put into me. So I think nobody really has any clue who's using this, what it's actually doing and what it's actually telling you, which is complete bullshit. Like, look up the research it's giving you, like, it's killing our humanity and it's killing our critical thinking skills. And that's very important. And if every single person who invented and works and is now the CEO of all the various AI companies that are running our life is saying that there's only two possible outcomes, one, the end of humanity, point blank, and two, that AI will be in control of human beings. Those are the only two solutions. Like, how is this not a problem?
Guys, are you worried about hair loss? Starting to notice thinning hair? Hims offers access to prescription treatments for regrowing your hair in as little as 3 to 6 months so you can see fuller head of hair by the fall.
Hims offers convenient access to a range of prescription hair loss treatments with ingredients that work, including chews, oral medication, serums, and sprays. You've got doctor-trusted, clinically proven ingredients like finasteride and minoxidil that can stop hair loss and regrow hair, like Sam said, in as little as 3 to 6 months. Get started from the comfort of your home. All you got to do is fill out an intake form, and a medical provider will determine if treatment is right for you. If it is prescribed, your treatment will be sent directly to you for free. The process is 100% online, which means getting started has never been more convenient. No insurance is needed, and one low price covers everything from treatments to ongoing care. Plus, treatment options start at just $35 a month. Hims has helped hundreds of thousands of men get their confidence back with visibly thicker and fuller hair. Check them out.
Start your free online visit today at hims.com/tinfoil hat. That's HIMS.com/tinfoil hat for personal hair loss treatment options. hims.com/tinfoil hat.
Individual results may vary based on studies of topical and oral minoxidil and finasteride prescription required. See website for full details, restrictions, and important safety information.
Mark's going to kill me if I don't get into some of the stuff. And sorry if we went on a tangent that maybe wasn't where you wanted to go. But so you're psychic. I'm psychic too. Johnny doesn't believe in it. Tell me about your psychic. When did you learn you were psychic? And
Not you, to be clear. I believe some people are psychic, just not you. Just to be clear, I'm not. It's not. This is not.
No,
a
Johnny, you don't
statement on
like
her.
any psychics.
No,
You're
that's not true at
bigot.
all.
Go on.
So I believe that we all do have the ability to tap into this innate ability and be telepathic, be psychic. I believe we all have this ability. I don't think anyone's special. I think a lot of people have the an easier access to it, and there's many different reasons for that. But we all have, it's part of our innate original organic intelligence. So we all have the ability to tap into it. You just have to learn discernment for one thing, and how to literally like kind of turn it on, have it come online. For myself, I was really psychic when I was little. I think a lot of people are. And I would communicate with trees. I would like talk directly to beings. I would astral travel in my sleep and all this stuff. And it wasn't until I was around like 5 to 7 years old that I told my brother, was talking to him about it, and he was like, "You're crazy." And I was like, "Wait, what?" And that's when I realized, oh, this is not normal. Not everybody can do this. I just thought that's how it was. And so that's when my survival instinct kicked in from my genetics, which happens to everyone, which is I have to survive, right? I have to be part of the tribe and not go outside of what's okay and what's acceptable. Otherwise, I'll be excommunicated, I'll starve. And these are not conscious thoughts. This is just the way that our survival mechanism works. And so it kind of shut down for me. And I see this happens in a lot of people. And a lot of people don't even remember. And then once I start working with them, it starts to come online again. And they're like, oh, I remember when I was a kid, blah, blah, blah. So for me, it shut down, and then it didn't start up again until I started having spiritual awakenings in my 20s, and started perceiving things. For me, it wasn't like fun. It wasn't like nice. I saw like dead people who needed help, who were in distress, and a lot of yucky things. And I worked really hard to eventually find a really good teacher who taught me discernment and how to understand the psychical realms and then the other realms beyond that, because most psychics and mediums are just actually reading your subconscious, which is not that hard to do. You could probably take like a weekend course to learn how to do it. So they'll tell you like exactly what you're thinking, what you ate for breakfast, things like that. This is not that hard, and it's not that special. What I do is not that. So I don't consider myself a psychic. Being psychic is like a requirement for what I do as a very high level spiritual healer. So what I do is you come to me, you have an issue. Let's say your body's sick. Let's say you can't make enough money. Let's say you have a relationship problem. So I'm going to look into your field, not just your psychical body, your subconscious, but I'm going to look into your emotional field as well. I'm going to look into your astral. I'm going to look into your mental field. I'm going to look into your ancestral field and see what's actually happening that's causing this. So versus like energy healer where they're like, okay, symptom, solution, I'm going to hit some energy with it. Not saying energy healing is not very powerful, it's wonderful, but this is a whole different level. Spiritual healing takes a lot of development to be able to hold a very deep field where things can literally unwind out of your system for good and you don't have that problem anymore. You become a different person on a different trajectory.
I'm into all of this. I agree with that very much. I had psychic abilities when I was very young. I talk about it all the time. I get mocked by people, and it is of my belief that the part of the success of the show is the ability to take a data point and have it play out and how I think it's going to play out. And obviously, again, nobody's going to bat 1,000%, but I've had a pretty good track record, a great batting average, and it is because I feel stuff. I do it all the time. My family's psychic. My grandmother read tea leaves. We have a baby that sees dead people. I mean, that's a real story, even though it sounds funny. But that is on my cousin on my dad's side. You give him an object, he can tell you the history of it, where it came from, where it's been, all that stuff. I believe in all of that. I believe all of that is in the realm. You know, when you bring up the ether, you bring up all, like, again, being into structured religion and all that stuff being included, I just can't subscribe to that. I think this area that we live in is way more interesting than we're programmed to believe.
I think there should be a different word, because to please the people, like psychic means that you can tell into the future. But I think you get a feeling, right? Like you said, it's more like a feeling. I think if you change the word, there was something else, because like a
intuition.
Psychic,
yes,
there you go,
right.
something different. Because when you say psychic, Johnny gets all.
Well,
You
I
can't
don't
tell
care.
the future.
I'm just telling you.
You obviously care. I mean, you
these
can't
things
stop
play
bringing
out
it
in
up
my
every
head
time we
all
talk
the
about
time.
it.
What?
You seem to care because you can't stop bringing it up every
Because
time you
it's
mention.
a joke, a running joke.
Okay.
Okay? What, Johnny?
No,
Are you
you're right. It is a joke. Yeah.
But I think you kind of have like, I mean, to put it like that, kind of like that Alex Jones thing, because you've hit some Alex Jones things where like you predict something where,
Yeah.
but it's more like I wouldn't call him a psychic either though.
Okay. I mean, tomato,
whatever,
tomato
I
at
don't know.
this point. But I just tell you,
You got something. I'm telling you.
I do. I read
something comes
people.
in,
I read.
yeah.
You've seen it at the show where I perfectly pick out what this guy's life is.
That, and I've also seen you do it with your jokes, where you just be sitting there and you're like, I got a joke, and then you'll say it on stage. I'm like, how did that happen? You're like, I don't know. It just came to me.
Yeah. So I mean, that's a download to me. Comedy becomes a download. But like, I'll be doing stand up and I'll tell a guy exactly what his life is, and he's like, "Holy shit, that you're totally right." It's just energy. I just read energy, whatever that is.
So you have lineage as well, which is really helpful for that because, like you said, your relatives are also psychic, so that helps for you. And then I think what's also really impactful for you is that you're embracing it, and that's really difficult because everything in our society is telling us to go against it, go against your gut. You know, we're told most people live here. And that's actually our heart center. If you look at the toroidal field, is like, I can't remember exactly, 30 times, I think, more powerful than our brain center. So when you're down here, you're actually using that intuition and that intuitive sense. And so it's very brave to be like, yeah, I feel this and say that. And it takes it's a big part of the journey because I really do believe everyone I've ever sat with has abilities. And they don't all look the same though. And so you have to kind of figure that out on your journey. Like some people feel and they just know. Some people hear, some people see, some people perceive. And so you just kind of have to figure out in your own process of meditation and working with a teacher, if you want to do that, what it is. And they can be developed. Everyone can be developed. You just have to have the desire to sit long enough to do it and not scroll your phone instead.
You hear that, Johnny? You have abilities.
Yeah, for sure.
you can
Everybody
join-
has
yeah.
ability. I think people are just afraid to tap into it. They've calcified their pineal gland. You know, they're constantly taking in poisons.
They have a Tesla.
They have a Tesla. It's cooking their chi. You know,
They have a laptop on their ball sack.
I think as well. All you know, they talk to like Native American shaman, and they're like, we can't astral project anymore because there's so much dirty.
That's so interesting.
Electricity in the atmosphere now. Everywhere there's there's huge wires 2 blocks down the street.
Yeah.
Don't tell me that's not.
Difficult. Yeah, it is more difficult, and that's one reason I don't love being in LA, is because it's pretty.
We can still hear you if you want to keep talking.
Okay. Yeah, it's because it is pretty bad, and you can still do it, but it requires a lot more effort and energy. And wouldn't that be by design, right? To cut you off from those skills and from that ability.
Yeah, I mean, 100% put you in a state of fear, put you in a state of anxiety. Have you, we've had guests on before talking about that. The human beings are the only ones that are constantly in fight and flight forever at all times. Most animals, they're only in fight and flight when their life's in danger, and then they go back to their normal biorhythms. But we are constantly through the news, through social media. Twitter is a trauma deliverance system. We are watching snuff now.
Absolutely. And that's a big part of what I do. Oftentimes, the first thing I need to do when someone comes to me or when I'm sitting with a group of people is just get them to baseline. Because we're absolutely living in this, and we don't even realize, you don't even realize your shoulders are up here. You're in complete stress. You can't sleep at night because your brain is just running and running and running, and it's awful. And guess what? It's killing us, And so I think it's more like they say, if you don't have time to meditate for 10 minutes, meditate for 20 minutes because you need it even more. And I really think that that's true. And it's amazing to me. Like, I'll see people who come to me who have a terminal illness, okay, because this is the level of work I'm doing. And they'll be like, well, I can't meditate. And I'll give them a guided meditation that I created for them. Like, you want to live, do this every day in conjunction with the work we're doing. Sometimes people won't do it.
Yeah.
They can't not scroll their phone for that long. They can't sit still.
Yeah, I take Twitter off my phone all the time. All the time. I just feel like because I'm constantly battling the forces of evil like I'm doing. And I do believe we have in some ways countered the propaganda. The death of the mainstream media is from social media, but then they're just going to hijack that as well. They're going to position these people. But again, authenticity, the highest vibrational field, the highest vibrational energy. If you fake the funk on a nasty dunk, people know it. And that's why Ben Shapiro is now podcasting from his grandma's house. Do you see his new studio? It's his grandma's house. And
I don't know who Ben Shapiro is. Sorry.
Yeah, you are so blessed.
Yeah.
You are such a blessed human being not to know who that is.
I keep it pretty clean what I allow in to my energy field, just because like I don't have time for a bunch of bullshit, and because I have a really high discernment as well.
I can see it in your eyes. You have a high vibration. You wanted to note you wanted to talk about the deception of light, love, and that everything's love and light, and that there's no darkness. Did you want to get into that?
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah. Well, I think first of all, I just want to say, if I can go back for just 1 second, that I'm not blaming anyone and I'm not shaming anyone, and I don't want people to think that I'm trying to make them feel bad for being. I mean, I'm on social media. Like, I talk with my clients all the time, and that's how I deliver information, is on Instagram. And it's also like, it's not your fault, because it's literally designed to get you addicted to it, and your brain is, and that is a real chemical addiction. And so getting off of that is hard. And I'm not saying it's easy to sit and meditate or it's your fault for being addicted to social media. I'm just saying that you have a choice in the matter to like go elsewhere. And you know, I have a timer on my phone that tells me when I've been on social media too long. So just implementing stuff like that can really support you. So I just want to say I'm not blaming or shaming anyone for that. But yeah, as a spiritual healer, as a spiritual practitioner, I think, first of all, I don't consider myself new age at all. Nothing I'm doing is new age. It's very, very ancient wisdom that I'm working with. And I think that I see a lot of
Interesting.
the most pronounced, the most well-known, a lot of times, the people who have the most views and followers and whatever, I think they're full of shit. And
I love you.
There's a lot of everybody's like for example, and I think this is what Mark wanted us to talk about, is that for example, like there's no bad energy, there's no bad entities, there's nothing harming you. Like I'm so love and light that I'm protected and nothing bad can happen to me. And I think that's really toxic. And a lot of people are suffering from ancestral attacks and entity attacks and other issues. And whether that shows up in their life, in their finances, in their health, in their mental health, in their relationships, whatever it is, it's very real. And I think gaslighting people into saying like, oh, your vibration's not high enough and you just need to like throw an affirmation on top of your trauma is complete bullshit. And it's not actually helping or healing anyone.
Tell me about ancestral trauma. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, so we are here, human beings, having our life, thinking that all of our thoughts and ideas and things that we want to do are coming from us in our own mind, and that's actually not true. There's 6 generations of people behind us, influencing us, stories that we're carrying and trying to work out. And I know this sounds crazy, and I myself...
Not on this show.
Even as a person on this path and who's been a healer for a long time, when I first heard these themes, I was like, man, I don't really think that. And then I was shown through science and then through direct experience doing constellation work, which is what works this out, that it's absolutely true and it's amazing. And so we'll see, for example, we'll have ancestors in our lineage, you know, generations back who went through significant trauma, and we'll see the gene expression of PTSD in someone who's never been through a trauma in the day in their life. How does that happen? So this is coming through from the ancestral field. And so the very deep spiritual constellation work that I do, which I'm making a distinction between therapeutic constellation work, which is not the same at all, can allow that to unwind, like literally out of you. So like you have a personality trait, like let's say you're an addict, you express having an addiction to something. Gambling is what's
everything.
Okay, yeah, all right. And then you do the constellation work and you just don't have it anymore. And it's not always that easy or simple. It's not always in one session, but this is what happens because it's a pain carried in through your ancestral field. And you're living with it, you're holding it, and you don't even know it. And that's the thing until you do the work, and then it literally unwinds out of you, and you have an experience of having a whole new life in front of you. And it's absolutely amazing. And myself, we didn't go into my story, but the way that I came to this work and became a spiritual healer and went so deep on this path is because I was really, really sick and had a lot of issues and was told that I was going to die and there was no hope for me and I was going blind and they had to remove parts of my body and all these things. And I just refused to believe that. Doctors weren't helping me. So I was like, okay, what's next? So I just kept doing research and finding different modalities and getting certified in them and learning different things. And then like, okay, cool. This is cool. Add it to my tool belt. What's next? Until I finally found spiritual healing and constellation work, which is beyond modality. And this is the field I sit in now with my clients. And this is what's really doing the very, very profound, deep work.
Constellation work. What is that?
Yeah, so the constellation work is part of the spiritual healing, and that is what I'm speaking of with the ancestors. So constellation work is allowing the unwinding of the ancestral, what's been held in the ancestral field. It's hard to describe what an actual session is like because it's phenomenological, which means you can't really explain it, and even when you're in it, it's like, what is happening? Not in a scary way, but just it's so unique. It's the most unique thing I've ever experienced, which is saying a lot as someone who's been on this path for so long. But it's a session which brings forth whatever the issue is that you've come to. It allows it to come out of you. So whether that's cancer or relationship issue or addiction or something in your business, whatever it is, it allows this space. And someone like myself who is a spiritual healer, you have to be able to hold this field. So most people can't do this. My teacher estimates about 2% of healers, not people, but healers can do this work. It requires an immense amount of a very, very deep seat within. Like I sit for hours in meditation every day, and I've been in training for many, many years to be able to do this. So unlike these people on Instagram who are like, let me give you a light language channel and, join my masterclass, it's a totally, totally different thing that I'm doing. And it's really, really powerful.
You said something I thought was very powerful itself, and that is that what was the line that you said? But it's this idea that let me just get into it because I don't remember the exact line you said, but it really struck me. That the new age isn't new at all. It's old knowledge. And we have had this concentrated effort to destroy the knowledge of our relatives older than us so that we cannot pass on knowledge to the next generation. That's a big part for me. Marxism is to destroy all that is old, inject us with new data, and therefore our kids have no ability to hit the ground running. They have to start from zero. Why the elites, whoever you think they are teaching their children the ancient knowledge, and they have a head up. They have a giant lead on all of us. And that's why we're taking down statues. We're changing words in books. We're doing all this stuff, because, my grandmother, when she got an answer machine message, she thought it was the devil. She literally called it the devil, and this notion that because she thinks the answer machine is the devil, she has no knowledge to pass on. And it's kind of this moment in my other show I call doom scrolling. We show this guy, he was probably in his 70s, talking about how they use debt to destroy your wealth. And there were several comments in the comment section. This guy's old. This guy's old as shit. This guy's old. And I hear it all the time when I go to recovery meetings. They're like, everybody was old in the room. And like, to
boomer too.
Yeah, you hear that all the time. And as someone who is entering his older years, I feel young, but my body, I'm tired all the time. I see that as a giant, what's the word I'm looking for? Man, my thesaurus is shit today, my vocabulary. But it's just, it's a detriment to younger people to dismiss somebody's knowledge based on their age. Because they don't know how to upload an Instagram video or they don't know how to make an AI video, means they don't know anything.
Also, your grandma was right about the answering machine, by the way. Now your boss can get you wherever you are. Yeah. The outside world can find you wherever.
How about these smart glasses they want us to get? So now our view is our boss is telling us to do more work and all that stuff all the time. We are working way more than our parents did, way more than our grandparents did. We are parenting more than our parents and grandparents did, because back in the day, they go outside. Don't come back for hours. I have to get some work done. Now, because we think there's stalkers and predators everywhere, we don't want our kids to go outside. They're on their pads. And this is coming from a guy that's dealing with it right now. A big reason I want to get out of LA. I want to go to a small town where my kids can play. Go outside. Have a good time. Get out of the house. Daddy needs to breathe for 2 seconds.
And not want to be influencers.
And not want to be on the pad all day and have no attention span. I tell my daughter that. I took her to the doctor the other day. She just was bouncing. I go, you have no attention span. You have to breathe. Sit down, chill out. When are we going in? When the door opens and they call your name, we'll be going in. But it is done purposefully to destroy generational knowledge. It's done so you can't help your children go to the next level. Now, what I will tell you is little things change all the time. Maybe the tools in which we use might change all the time. But the basic interaction between human beings never changes. It's all energy.
I think what you're saying is a really astute observation, and what you're talking about is a disconnection from lineage. And it's a huge problem. And this is something that gets reorganized in constellation work. Like, people are just standing there with no power to go forward, basically like impotent. We're like, hunched over in our cell phones. I had to go to the mall the other week because my phone battery was dead. And I was horrified because everyone I saw was hunched over, like, had no connection to their power, no like spinal upright at all, like literally like a hunch over, like inside their cell phone or their iPad. But you have no power to go forward when you don't have the lineage behind you. And losing that is, I absolutely believe it's by design, but it's terrible. And we need to put that back in. And America is the worst country for that. Other countries still have the lineage intact. And you see they're a lot healthier. Of course, there's a lot of other reasons for that as well. Their food isn't being poisoned, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, that's all done on purpose, so we can't participate in our government.
Yeah, but lineage is really important, and we need that literally to go forward. And again, it's hard to describe without being in the work and seeing it happen. But I'll allow, the field will allow someone's ancestor to stand behind them, and their whole life will change. They'll be empowered. Like, that is very, very real, and something we've seen over and over again in the decades of this work. It's very real that being disconnected from our lineage is a big problem.
I've talked about this on the show, and I would love to hear your opinion. I believe the darkness and the dark entities are one of the greatest evidence for God, because we live in a yin and yang universe. Everything is connected to its opposite, and for there to be darkness, there must be light. And there must be a God. And, when we get into the Christian or the Abrahamic discussion of fallen angels, a lot of atheists want to dismiss that as Christian mumbo jumbo. But, we look into Vedic astrology, we look into Hinduism. They all talk about God trapping entities into this realm. And what happened to those entities, the Nephilims, the matings with the daughters of men, creating Nephilim giants, titans, all that stuff to me is proof that there is a God and there's a spiritual war going on. And what are your thoughts on that? And you don't have to agree with it if you don't want to.
Do I think there's a God? I mean, of course. I think, what else is beating my heart? I don't think it's necessary to have a name for it. I think all these names made by man, right, cause more division and more things for people to argue about and kill each other over, which is completely insane. But I think absolutely, I think it's pretty ignorant to think that there isn't a source who is here. How else would we be here? And I think absolutely there needs to be light and dark. If there was only one, then we would be back at source, and we're here for a reason, and that's to experience all of it, to experience heartbreak and sunsets and kissing someone you love and dying. It's all part of it. Absolutely. And yeah, we all get to have a story. Some of us are an angel, some of us are a demon, and some of us are an angel this time and then a demon next time. It's like, how can I experience everything? And a lot of us, all of us here, every single one of us wanted to have the experience that we're having right now, even if we don't remember that, even if we don't like it. So there's absolutely darkness and light. Otherwise, we literally wouldn't be sitting here having this conversation. We would just be at source, feeling pure love and getting bored with that. And then we would create reality again because of that boredom.
Yep.
Yeah, that's how I see it. And, it's so funny because everyone loves Harry Potter. Everybody loves Lord of the Rings. Everybody loves that stuff. But when you tell them that we are a lot closer to that than they believe, they can't get into it. They can't understand it. They don't understand sigil magic, meme magic, sorcery, energy manipulation. They don't want to get into any of that. How history is a lie. What our history is way more interesting than they want you to believe, because they just want you to believe you're an organism in shoes, a bacteria on this rock hurling through space, and that there's no real reason that you're here. Just this is how it all lined up. Atheists don't want to believe in any divine design. They just want to be like, it just happened and something bing, bing, pow went bam, boom, boom. And then suddenly that we're here and everything is perfectly interlocked, and everything is important to the ecosystem. We just had this giant storm in Texas. We just had a giant weather manipulation in Lake Tahoe that nobody's talking about. How it went from a sunny day to a tornado to snow in less than 24 hours. And we're messing with this ecosystem. These dark arts sorcerers are messing with this ecosystem that is perfectly balanced. And when you tinker at one end, it messes with another end. It's like the best example of the butterfly effect. Butterfly flaps and swings over here. Suddenly there's a giant flood in China. This is, everything is energy. Everything is connected. And you just have sorcerers trying to manipulate everything.
Absolutely. And I think, how smart is that to tell everyone that they don't have any power, and to do everything you can to convince someone that they don't have power? Anyone could go over here and pick up a sigil and do magic with it. You just have to learn how to do it. It's, every single person has an innate power that they can tap into them. You just have to learn how to do it. And whatever path you want to learn is fine. As I said at the beginning of this conversation, all paths lead home. I really believe that. So whether you want to take a magical path or a mystical path or both, like I've done, you could, or a religious path even. Look at the saints. They were powerful as fuck. They were literally miracle workers. They are my heroes and my allies in my work that I do. Like, we're creating new bodies for people. This is miraculous work. And so this sorcery that these powers that be are using, we have that same power. And it's our ability to respond, to do something with that or not, or say, I don't want to do it. I want to pretend that everything's fine, or I don't want to open my eyes to see that, like I said, I think that a lot of people cannot comprehend, like it would blow their minds up to believe that there are nefarious forces controlling the world. And that's okay. That's their path. Maybe they didn't come to awaken to that in this lifetime, and that's fine. I'm not going to sit here and say it's wrong. But I am going to sit here and say to anyone who wants to tap into their power, you absolutely can, and maybe you should. Why not?
Do you believe in the theory of NPCs?
I don't know. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. I haven't had any direct experience in the field seeing it, because I've never, I guess, cared enough to look. But I'll definitely meet people and be like, you gotta be an NPC. So, I certainly wouldn't rule it out.
Because there's this video, it didn't make it to doom scrolling, but it was in the rotation in the wheel. It's about these two sisters, and they were talking about how the one sister could not imagine something. She goes, can you imagine? I think it was a unicorn in a pink tutu. And she goes, yeah. She goes, I can't. I have none of that. And she's like freaking out. Now, when I go a unicorn in a pink tutu, an image flashes in my head of a unicorn in a pink tutu.
Sideways, right? The tutu sideways, right? In my head, I picture it sideways.
Well, you picture it how you picture it, but the point is, it's not there in 4K, and it's not like it can gallop. As I think, it's galloping. I see it galloping, but like I can imagine that. There are people who can imagine that. Like, isn't that?
There's something called the Apple test. It's an exercise where you can kind of improve that ability too. And I think they use it to study this trait. They ask you to close your eyes and imagine an apple, and then it's graded on how the clarity. It's like a 1 to 5 scale, and that kind of determines where you are on. It's kind of a sliding scale, and you can improve it. But yeah, there are some people who just don't have it. It goes along with the internal monologue thing too, where we learned that so many people just don't have an internal monologue, which I can't even imagine what life is like without an internal monologue. What are they doing all day?
My internal monologue is so loud I talk to myself. And I know that sounds like I'm joking,
No,
but
totally. No.
It's really true to the point where it's like, that's why I have 8 podcasts. Because if I don't have 8 podcasts, I'm just talking to myself all day.
In reading, how do they read? Because when you read, you imagine whatever you're reading.
Yeah, that's kind of super interesting too.
Just read words and
just read words.
It's called aphantasia, by the way. Sorry.
One more time.
Yeah, that's what it's called. I've heard of that condition, and also the one where you don't have an internal monologue, which seems so insane, but also maybe peaceful and nice sometimes.
NPC though.
It's probably aphantasia, actually, I guess. But it's individuals who report not being able to form mental images. For them, the Apple test might result in a rating of 0 or 1, rather, or they might be aware of the concept of an apple, but not able to visualize it.
That is crazy to me.
So I know a wizard, actually. He's like a male, like a sorcerer, and he has one. And so he helps people teach them psychic development. And so you can do, like, for example, the apple and see it and have it spin and all these things as a form of psychic development. Like, maybe do that next time you're going to take like a 5-minute break from your phone. Just like picture an apple and see its color and Christmas and things like that. But so he has a client who has this aphantasia, and it's really interesting. And he said that he's still been successful in teaching them, like basically teaching them magic, and they can do it even without that ability, which I think is really cool.
When you go on,
I was going to say AI can mess with your imagination, because now you don't have to imagine nothing. You just type it in, and
that's
AI
exactly
will
what
handle
she's
it for you.
talking about.
Here you
Chat
go.
GPT.
Again, yeah, it's your brain's atrophying.
So when you talk about this wizard and stuff like that, are we talking about like Gandalf the White Wizard type magic? Like, when you say a wizard, what do you mean?
No, so I mean, he's basically a witch and a sorcerer, and I'm using the word wizard as sort of like a male witch, basically.
Are there good
he's a
sorcerers
sorcerer.
and bad sorcerers? Are there light sorcerers and dark sorcerers?
Yeah, absolutely. You can take the dark or the light path with anything, especially magic, though. And there's some gray area, and then there's black magic, which is anything that influences someone else, in my opinion.
And manipulates them, or even if it's for good? Let's say, like, are you manipulating people by helping them find this kind of psychic ability?
So I am, and I'm only doing it with permission. So for example, one thing that I offer, like, if you can't afford to do a healing session with me, the most accessible way to work with me is do candle service. So I will just light a candle for you at a sacred place and basically do like a healing for your intention. And so my only rule is it can't involve anyone else without their permission. So I won't do anything without permission. So if you ask me like, hey, can you pray for my friend? Because for me, if I pray for someone, like, that's a healing. I'm not doing a prayer like hoping something happens. I'm affecting change in their life. So if you ask me, will you pray for my friend? do I have permission? You know, does your friend want me to pray for them? Because it's a big deal. Like, let's say I pray for them and they didn't want it, and their soul decided they were going to die, and then now they're alive because of something that I did. Like, I'm not okay with that. So I'm very big on permission. The only thing you have permission to do other than for yourself is if you have a child who's under 18. So if you ask me, you know, for your daughter, fine. But for me, I will not affect change in someone else's life without their explicit permission.
That's super interesting. You know.
I didn't think about that. Like, if you wanted to die,
So if you want to pray
you.
for somebody, you should ask for permission.
Yeah, well, I mean, most people praying for them is going to be different than if I'm praying for them. Not that everyone's prayers aren't powerful, but like I'm literally a healer, you know? So for me, a prayer is a healing. But yeah, I think that most of the time, so like, for example, I'm in a group for healers. It's like an international WhatsApp group. If there's an urgency, someone writes in, hey, can you pray? You know, and they'll say prayers only. I don't have permission for healing or healing, because permission is a big deal. Like, I'm not going to interfere with someone's life. I don't know their journey. That'd be very arrogant of me to just like do something without someone's permission.
Yeah, that's a very interesting thing because, you know, the Lost Boys, that famous scene where the vampire can't come in unless you invite him in. And to me, that seems to be a big thing in the occult, right? Like, that's what they get it when you get into Revelation of the Method and the notion that they tell us what they're doing because if we don't stop them, then the karma's on us, not on them. And then they're constantly giving us clues about what's going on. And as we see with these wars, how they are drumming up support for war, and when they don't get it, it doesn't go the way they want it to. Now, do they still do little things here and there? I do believe so. I believe they do stuff, but on a big level, they need our permission, and like. That's why they're constantly trying to start this war with Iran. But it seems like this is the weirdest war I've ever seen because this is the first time they haven't been able to get the country behind the military-industrial complex like they did with Iraq and stuff like that. Every other war, you saw this kind of build up. This way they kind of manipulate us through propaganda to get us to accept this kind of like a necessary war under the guise of bringing democracy, saving people, regime change, whatever it is. They've used that playbook so much, and through the beauty of the internet, and we could have a real discussion about, is the internet a light tool or is it a dark tool? You know, Tino Sanchez from Tinfoil Hat thinks that they did it to kind of put us in a silo so we all don't get along with each other. Which there is a really strong argument for that. But everything you're talking about lines up with everything. You have to get permission before you could do these stuff, whether it's light or in particularly dark. That is the power of propaganda. That is why they spend so much money on propaganda if you study the rollout of the jabby jib job whatever.
Thank you.
Because we're trying to put this on YouTube. That was systematically rolled out to convince us that this is what we needed to get done. And it was such a powerful.
Yeah, man, there was decades of predictive programming for that.
Yeah, I agree. And it was so powerful that people didn't even want to listen to their loved ones. That they trusted people on the television on the television programming, okay? They listened to them over loved ones who would take a bullet for them.
Yeah. It's true. I want to say one thing about permission, how you use the example of like a vampire. So someone like myself, I'm very big on permission. I'm not going to do something unless I have permission, but that's because of my moral compass. And if someone has enough power, they don't need the permission. Like that's my choice to only do things when I have permission. But I could one day, and I myself personally won't, but anyone could who has enough power decide like, actually, I'm just going to do this anyway. I was given a choice like this once where I knew that someone was going to be actually murdered if I didn't interfere. I had a psychic knowing and I couldn't get a hold of this person. And I was like, well, should I do it or not? Should I do the work to interfere and make it so he doesn't get murdered without his permission?
Did you save Donald Trump's life? Is that what we're about to? Did you? Is that what? Turn your head
I
right
didn't
now.
save Donald Trump's life.
Turn your head.
Luckily, I wasn't put in that predicament. But I'll just tell you, like for this instance, I did save the guy's life. I did interfere.
That's amazing.
Because I was like, I'm willing. He had a young daughter. I just knew because I knew him that he probably didn't want to get murdered. And I decided like I'm willing to take on the karma if there is any for choosing to do this without permission. But if like maybe vampires, and I don't know any vampires, I don't know, maybe they do need permission, but I know for certain that there are a lot of beings who are powerful enough that they don't need permission to do anything, including enter your house. And you can pretend that doesn't exist if you want to, but it doesn't mean it's true. And so in some cases, permission is not needed if you have enough power, and it's just your own choice.
It does add some context to this idea that presidents age so rapidly. You know, what if they're just being psychically attacked by because they're so famous? You know, what if they're just the target of all these psychic attacks on their souls?
I mean, just study Twitter and bots, right?
And famous people. Look at how it just wrecks them
when they just constantly have this kind of negative energy pushed at you through these bots or trolls or whatever they are.
Block them all.
It's spiritual energy. I like, our Shafir used to be like, nah, I don't care. I'm not going to block anybody. But I go,
I used to feel that way too, but
I'm like, well, after you got attacked on your Twitter and lost your Twitter account, I'm like, oh, this is how they get rid of people they don't like. They send a bot army to negatively send negative energy towards this account, and then Twitter freaks out and gets rid of everybody. Yeah. It's interesting to me, and everything is energy, dude. Everything is energy, your energy, my energy. It's like when you see somebody, you instantly connect with them that you knew them for the rest of your life. And then there's people you're like, we just have weird energy together.
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny, people that don't believe in energy, yet they believe in Wi-Fi. And it's like,
yeah, 100. That's mysticism. You know? Where is it?
Totally.
Where is it? Oh, it's on my phone. What? I can't touch it?
Yeah.
That's energy. And
if you get developed enough, you can definitely feel Wi-Fi and feel electricity. And when I first started my actually like a year before I had my spiritual awakening, I started hearing electricity. So that definitely puts another level to it. And before we were on, I was plugged in my laptop and I was using it, and I was like, I cannot use it while it's plugged in because it's like zapping me. So it's interesting when you start to kind of develop, I couldn't ever use those earbuds because also, why would I? It's zapping my brain.
Yes.
Please don't use that. Why would you put Wi-Fi directly into your brain? Don't do that. But it's interesting. It kind of like someone asked me a couple of years ago, like, do you ever think like maybe everything you do is like not real? And I'm like, no way in hell, because I see evidence of it all the time. I have clients who are told you're going to die. I have clients all the time who are told, here's your scan, here's the cancer all over your body. And then it's just not there anymore. Like, there's no curiosity of whether this is real or not.
It's so crazy that people want to reject that. It's crazy to me. It's so
crazy to me
they'll go
too,
watch
man.
Star Wars and Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter, and they'll totally buy into that, even though it's like meant to be fiction. And then they get this kind of doom and gloom. Like, this is a totally different subject, but when you talk about the history of AIDS and how real that really was, and was it real, or was it a giant psyop to get people to exterminate a certain segment of society? And you show people this, especially my gay friends, I'll be like, watch this. And they just get so angry. They get so angry, and they're not mad at me. They'll tell me, they're like, I don't want to believe this because I lost so many people. And you're like, but I'm telling you, like, to save you so you don't find yourself in that same predicament, that this is a giant lie, you know? And I don't know, man. It's like crazy to me how people just don't want to, like, they're so arrogant about their ignorance. That is a real big problem right now. People's arrogance about, they instantly, if you put out a tweet stating a certain fact that you believe is a fact, and it goes against their programming, bro, they come out. It's like Agent Smith comes into them. They just look, and now they're Agent Smith, and they're just Neo. I want to da da da, and they just want to annihilate you, because everyone wants to think they have this great bullshit meter that can detect bullshit, and God forbid something got past that bullshit meter, and it's better to believe in the conformity of power that it is to go, I have to go off on my own. Like I was talking about at a sobriety meeting about the trauma I had when I got cut from my 8th grade basketball team. And it sounds so stupid, but my dream was to be the first white basketball player to play for John Thompson and the Georgetown Hoyas, because he was a civil rights leader. He only had black players on his team, and I loved them so much, and I wanted to play on there. And when I got cut from there, it traumatized me into never wanting to trust people to judge my talent. And it's really has wreaked havoc on my career. Today I'm good. We got the show. It's doing amazing. But it's all been done outside of the power structure of entertainment.
Was there tryouts for that?
What?
For that?
For the 8th grade basketball team. I got cut.
Were they wrong? Were you actually good?
That's what I was asking. Were you that good where you were kind of upset where like it was close?
I thought I was. I would be open-minded. Like I say in stand-up, it's like, if you don't think I'm funny, I'll accept that. I'm not going to sit there and try to tell you you're wrong about your beliefs on my stand-up. I've done enough in my life. You know, this show has been a top 100 podcast for 7 years, 8 years, however long the show's been going, that in comedy, for me to go, I think I'm okay. But if you don't want to think I'm funny, I'm okay with that. That's totally fine with me. So if they said I wasn't good enough, the big thing was that the guy I was going up against, his father was the drinking buddy of the coach. They used to go to the bar all the time.
Oh, there we go.
So, and that might just be me looking for an out. But the point of that is, it traumatized me into ever wanting to allow anyone to judge me. And I am bringing that into my life. And that's kind of like, that. So the whole point of that is like, I've never been able to be the person that's able to work through the power structure of conformity, ever. It's just never happened in my life. I've always been an outlaw. So it's easy for me to go, oh, that's not true. They're lying to you, because that has been my viewpoint since I got cut from that basketball team, you know. But if you're someone who has always been on the dean's list, the principal's list, always told you got gold stars and A pluses forever, you have been able to work through the system, because the system has been, can you prove to us your conformity? When you're taking a test in school, you're not necessarily the most knowledgeable, but are you able to regurgitate what the teacher wants you to believe? And education's very important. I do worry about some of the stuff that we're taught in these colleges that make people go against their own natural drives, their own natural callings. You know, like when people are like, oh, I don't want to have kids. Okay, I'm fine with that. But why don't you want to have kids? And is it because you want to focus on a career and you think the career is more important than your children? And then the people who did that, and how maybe I think a lot of them are miserable, but they don't want to tell you that because misery loves company. So they'd rather you go make the same mistakes as them instead of going, hey, dude, I really fucked up. I should have done this, and that. Like the woman who created Sex and the City is like, I messed up. I totally presented something.
I mean, you used to be like, no kids, running and gunning, and you've told me like, yo, I used to tell you that.
I wasted so many years chasing the rock and roll view of the world, and it was a complete waste of time. I now tell those stories as, look how stupid I was, instead of look how badass I was, right? So yeah, I completely agree with that. It's like, can people see that? Can people open their mind to?
Yeah. So you're talking about something that's really scary for most people because again, this is like a cognitive dissonance for them. And as you said, a system that's rewarded them their whole lives. So what would be the incentive for them to believe something is different, to become self-aware, to become aware of being programmed? Because it's also like a big blow to the ego. Like I've been programmed, my thoughts are not my own. There's some sort of agenda, whatever it may be, and then that's a whole other can of worms that has been telling me what to think. That's not true. I think what I think because I think it. And so this is a big source of cognitive dissonance for people, a big source of like an ego death a lot of times as well. And people can't a lot of times handle that, especially when the system rewards you. Because I'll tell you, as someone who is outside of the system, it does not reward you.
Yes, it actually punishes you.
Right. It certainly punishes you and it makes your life a lot more difficult. And I'm someone who like, you know, growing up, trying to like work jobs and things, I've got a genius IQ and I've been reprimanded and beaten down for that at every step of the way because I start working somewhere, I'll see the systems that are not running correctly, I'll notice that the boss is doing the wrong thing, I'll try to make things better, and then I get fired. Because I'm going outside the system.
Any other person you talk to would say, that's crazy, that's real. You are 100% correct. Johnny,
I know I am. It's my lived life experience.
No, you're 100% correct. You even see it in sports, Johnny. How many times have you heard an athlete go, they don't like me because I'm too smart? You remember that Florida State safety that was like an All-American and he wanted to go study and then he wanted to come back to the NFL and the NFL did not want him there because they can see through the social constructs of what they want you to do as a professional football player, which is completely and utterly throw your life on the line, your health and well-being, even your possible mobility to possibly be crippled and paralyzed.
Myron Rolle, right?
Yeah, he played at Florida State.
Yeah.
And he would constantly talk about how he would hear them complain he was too smart.
Oh, they don't want that. Yeah, because smart people can
at work, dude. At work,
second guess the
when you go to
manager.
work and your manager at the restaurant is not the smartest person in the world, and you see through it.
It's the worst.
They hate that shit.
Yeah,
there is a reward for mediocrity.
Yeah.
Right. So that's a huge part of it. And then there's also the fact that, like I mentioned before, the survival mechanism. Like if I'm going outside the system, I'm going to be excommunicated from the system and the society. And then, like, you know, even though maybe if I'm, let's say, excommunicated from my family or from my job, on a surface level, you can be like, well, it's not that big of a deal. You can go get another job. You can go live somewhere else. In our cellular memory and our genetic memory, we are terrified of that because we can't survive without the system, right? Like we get sent out into the darkness from the fire and we're dead as soon as an animal
You're
gets
so
us.
right.
So we really have that survival mechanism beat into us. And so it's really scary to go outside the system. And it's not, and you know, I see this happen a lot with people who work with me long term and their lives start to really shift. And sometimes they're like, you know, I really got to leave my job or I got to change, you know, I got to leave my relationship or change it or something because they've become aware. They've become aware of things and that's not easy. And it's a lot easier to stay quiet and stay small and keep your mouth shut and pretend that everything's fine. So I think that a lot of times it really is a choice. And again, I'm not judging or blaming people for making that choice because I get it. Like for myself, it's certainly been a lot harder to open my mouth and question things, you know, but it does make sense if you think about it. And for you, you had this traumatic experience and that really shaped your direction. And of course it sucked and I'm sorry that you went through that, but also like, look at the trajectory that it put you on. You might have still today been in this system had you gotten chosen, you know?
No, you're totally right. And, you know, I don't know if you know this show. If you don't, you're blessed even more. but I do believe that we live in a mass singer society. Like, and my friend's on that show, and I don't know if you know the Masked Singer. It's an American show. It's basically someone comes out in a giant costume. You can't tell who it is. They sing a song poorly, greatly, and then the judges guess who's singing it, and then they reveal, and it's been on television forever. My friend Ken Young, who is one of the nicest guys you ever meet. I hope the show's on forever. I hope he cashes all the checks and makes all the money. This is not a negative thing. I love him, and I'm happy for him. He's on a successful show. But that show is Idiocracy. It's Idiocracy.
It's the dumbest show, dude.
And it symbolizes the state of our culture right now. We're watching a lot of these crowd work comedians work, and then I'll let you go. I won't keep you all day. These crowd work comedians, and there's this new kid. He's selling out theaters. He's doing his act in auto-tune. He's doing crowd work in auto-tune.
What?
Yeah, he's auto-tuning it. And there's some people.
What do you mean by that? He's pitch correcting his voice
while he does crowd work.
But is he singing?
What is your name?
Okay.
Can I have your number? And everyone goes crazy. And it's like, it's really brilliant to know that the auto-tune crushed in music. Why wouldn't it crush in comedy?
So weird.
And I guarantee you there's people that are really upset about it because it seems like a cheat code. I'm fine with it. Whatever you got to do to make it. I'm super happy for you, kid. I hope you crush it. You're doing huge numbers. But that is the society we live in right now. It is what's the word I'm looking for? It is, I mean, like, you use these terms, it comes off like it's a negative connotation of what I'm saying, but it's just keep it simple, stupid. And it's the simplest form. It's the most easily digestible. When we all take a look at, like, when we look at the Carlins and the Bill Hicks, there was limited information out there. It was controlled by the elites through the mass media. People were dying to hear what was really going on. Well, now with the internet, your Twitter feed, your Instagram feed is just all this crazy trauma. Someone gets stabbed in Cincinnati, you think you're going to get stabbed outside your house.
Yeah.
Now they want to escape that. They want to numb out.
Yeah. I mean, our nervous system was certainly not designed to see someone getting stabbed and then someone dying in a flood and then a bomb being dropped, whether it's real or not, and then, 10 traumatic things every 3 seconds. There's no possible way we could metabolize that information. And then we get compassion fatigue, and it's like, I love dogs. And so I follow all these dog shelters, and every day it's like, gonna get euthanized at 1:29 p.m. unless it's safe. And it's like, fuck, man, it's too much. Right. And so it's too much for us to metabolize. And so again, I'm not blaming, judging, or shaming anyone. The stuff I do, like, I'm working with people who are being told they're going to die or have real life issues every day. So sometimes at the end of the day, I want to, like, watch a rom-com and, like, numb my brain out. And I'm not judging anyone for doing that. I'm just saying that, like, everything that we do is an exchange of our life force. And so if you can take a few minutes out of your day to meditate and, like, become aware of your internal landscape and breathe instead of scrolling, maybe 5 minutes a day only to start with, like, that's going to change your life. If you can spend your first 5 minutes of the day inside of your own brain before you look at your phone, you're going to be attuned to, like, the field of your own intelligence, not the field of the matrix and whoever's inside your phone that day wants to tell you. So I'm not shaming or blaming anyone.
I'm not either. Yeah.
And I know you're not either. I just can sometimes come off like that because I'm bullying people into becoming self-aware. Yeah. But I think, learn discernment. And I'll tell you, in the past couple of weeks, every single ad I've seen on Instagram, which is the only platform I'm on, has been AI. And nobody seems to notice that. Nobody seems to notice that the voice isn't matching up to the lips and that it's a fake human being. And I want people to notice that so you can make your own choice. And I remember in 2019 watching this interview of Elon Musk, and the interviewer was like, because this was kind of before a lot of this was really big and before AI came out to the public, and the interviewer was like, I don't understand, like, help me understand. And he was like, okay, so let's say you're just sitting there watching TV and all of a sudden you think, oh, I want to go to Applebee's for dinner. And you didn't see an ad for Applebee's, it was in your brain. So you have no way of knowing whether you actually wanted.
That is a great point. Body autonomy.
Or
Everybody's for body autonomy until it's certain things, right? That is like everybody's for body autonomy until it comes to the government. And then through programming, they just are, yeah, I don't care. Put ads in my fucking head. Make me take a vaccine. It's unbelievable. The state of California is the worst of that. The worst.
Yeah. So, like, please spend a little bit of time and energy cultivating your discernment. You don't have to listen to me. You don't have to listen to anyone. I want you to listen to yourself. But most people don't understand how to do that. And they think like I'll teach people how to like intuitively eat. And they'll be like, well, I intuitively want to eat cookies all day. No, you don't. That's your emotional body. Your emotional body wants to eat cookies all day. So learning your discernment and how to know like what's going on and what your thoughts and feelings are telling you is just so, so important. So when you see a story or an ad or hear your friend talk or whatever it is, you can know like, this is actually not true. And maybe it's even a thought in your own head. What about that? What about all the thoughts in your own head that maybe say like, you're a piece of shit. You don't deserve this good thing.
We've been talking about that. Like, how many of your thoughts are actually your own real thoughts?
Or what she's talking about, like Neuralink. Imagine if you have like the basic and they throw ads at you because you have the basic Neuralink. So unless you go premium,
that's so hilarious. Go ad free.
That's in the new Black Mirror.
Is it?
Yeah. Well, it's something like that where there's this woman has a stroke and her life is saved by this technology that simulates a portion of the brain. Spoiler alerts for Black Mirror. And they slowly force her to get upgrades to pay for more and more upgrades, or she gets these ads beamed into her brain directly. It's because it's ad supported then. It's a nightmare. And it's coming. It is absolutely coming.
Yeah, because I mean, it's just like everything. When Netflix started, it was like no ads. Or you could give it to everybody, and they just little by little they're like, oh no, you can only have it on 3 TVs, 3 accounts.
Drug dealer gives out free drugs, get everybody hooked.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you think social media is free, then you're the product.
100%. Jaya, this has been great. This has been great. One more time, tell them where they can find you.
So you can find me on Instagram at Jaya Simrit Kaur, and from there you can click on the link in my bio to learn about working with me. I have a group container coming up. I also do one-on-one. Come see me and we'll work some stuff out.
All right, perfect. This has been an explosively awesome episode. Let's break it down. All right, guys, what did you think of her? Dude. What did you think of?
That's a name.
What did you think of?
Good luck.
Come on, aren't you sidekick?
Jaya.
Godspeed.
Jaya. I wanted to call her Yayo.
Yayo.
Reminds me of that pure
song.
Cocaine.
Remember that song from Slumdog Millionaire, Jai Ho? That's what I was saying. Jai Ho.
Jai Ho. I loved her Conspiracy Smoke Show.
Oh, easy.
I enjoyed it. I thought it was a great conversation. She knows. I feel like we didn't go deep enough. I feel like I'm going to get yelled at by Mark. Sam, why did you ask her about the priest battling demons? I tried. It just...
Sometimes you don't get there, dude.
Sometimes the conversation goes where it needs to go.
Yeah.
Facts.
Yeah, I have no complaints about that conversation.
I enjoyed it a lot. I might have gotten a little too political earlier. I feel like in both episodes that we did over the last week, I made statements that I saw kind of the guests kind of shift.
Yeah.
When I was talking about how the paraplegics are the real N-words, he goes,
yeah, sometimes you forget that we are in our own kind of bubble where we kind of go hard. Do you know what I mean? Like, you go hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we forget and then somebody comes in from the real world occasionally. And
I don't know if either of them would be the traditional real world, and that's not a negative.
Well, a realer world than we're used to.
Yeah, well, I mean, like the politically incorrect world, I would say. Some people are still in that, and worry about people's feelings. And I respect it. But I thought she was great, man. I thought there was, I think she got into a lot of great stuff, especially the trauma. I thought that was great. And I think that's a big part of why I'm pushing against a progressive agenda, because it wants to inflict trauma on children. But if you go to SamTripoli.com, we'll get back into that real quick. Go to SamTripoli.com. My events are there. Go to SamTripoli.com. Yeah, I'm going to be in San Diego this weekend. Then I'm going to be in, where am I going to be? Okay, sorry, Boston, Broadbrook, Connecticut, Huntington Beach, California, Kansas City, Missouri. Then go down. Going to be in Tulsa, Oklahoma City, and then New Orleans. I'm going to be there. And, again, check out the premium content. I'm putting up three things a week of the best content you'll see. It's people watch it. They love it. And we do real uncensored truth talk on there. And that stuff, the premium stuff is really way more current than what we do, the evergreen of tinfoil hat. That's day to day. What's the big event? I break that down. And then you just go to Cash Days. How's it going over there?
How he's absolutely destroying it, giving away all the secrets there on the free page. He's the start to July has been unbelievable. He's killing it.
So we enjoy. Trust me, Cash Daddies is worth the money. T-shirts are killing it. Chaos Twins looking good. That should be out soon. And then I want you to check out our good friends at our good friends at Live Longer Formula. Guys, I'm telling you, this guy's gonna help you get your darn off. Is gonna help you get your gut right, get you eating right, and feeling right. Everything that we've had, everything we do on the show is how can you live a healthier life? And he is the best at it, Christian Yardanov. And I can't recommend his website, his style, his way of thinking. It's unorthodox and it works. And you guys should check it out. He's got all the deadliest health fads right there. It breaks it down for you. So go check that out. And one more time, go back. I want you to go down Prometheus. It's the decentral website. It's my website. It's decentralized. All my friends are getting it. And if you are a content creator, this is the website you want to be on so that you can put your own content, your own premium content on your website. You don't have to worry about Patreon take you down and any of that stuff. So, yeah, just check it out. Anything else?
Hit that like button, subscribe. Go to Extreme Marks the Spot on YouTube. I do backstage of me painting Sam's studio, so go catch me being Mexican.
Backstage.
Yeah, Mexican shit.
I love it, dude.
Literally watching paint dry?
Yeah. I went, no. Yeah, I also recorded me at empty ass Home Depot.
Oh, yeah.
That's not the Home Depot of my dad.
Yeah.
It's empty.
It's a new depot.
Yeah, it's Home Depot.
Home Depot. And Johnny?
Check me out on Twitter at Johnny Woodard. I'm arguing 24/7 on there. Check me out.
Yeah, I thought it was a great episode. I thought you did great. I would really like, no matter what your religious or spiritual beliefs are, to be open-minded that there's more going on and that isn't challenging everybody's beliefs. This is a place where everyone gets to talk, and I thought it was great. Anything else, guys?
I felt left out.
Why?
2 psychics and me. No psychic power here,
You have
Johnny.
Mexican psychic abilities.
You got psychic
You can
ability.
sense when ice is near.
Oh, that's yeah. It starts my
Guys, stop. I sense authorities coming.
You know that feeling when Dodgers fans are about to beat the shit out of some guy from San Francisco? And you kind of get out of the way. You know what I mean? That's the Mexican.
Dude, Dodgers
see it.
are sucking. Andrew Friedman offends the baseball
It's great
gods.
for baseball that they're not.
Maybe I'm not against it. I think Andrew Freeman is a great GM, but he's constantly disrespecting the baseball gods.
They paid millions and millions and millions for this guy that looks like a teenager from Japan.
Oh, the twink? I call him
Roki Sasaki. I mean, he looks like he's
looks
12,
like a twink.
Dude. Yeah.
You got rid of established baseball people. The biggest thing, and I know but nobody wants to hear baseball talk here, but Johnny and I are talking.
Yeah, sorry.
Sorry about this. But you got rid of players from your World Series winning team and brought in other players. You ride with the guys that got you there.
By the way, that didn't work. The Braves did exactly that, and it took them into the depths of hell. So you can go wrong either way. To be fair,
the number one pitcher at Detroit is the guy that won Game 1 for us.
Yeah, well,
there's no reason to get rid of him. This Japanese twink or Korean twink,
he's so bad, dude.
Right?
Roki,
the guy you got, he's just the most you can hope for is he turns into him.
He looks like he's moments away from breaking out into tears.
I just think he goes home and just grabs his Pokemon and just cries.
He doesn't. He looks like as soon as he's off camera, he's about to weep.
And that's why they're hiding him, because he's probably fragile right now. He can't handle the heat. You gave him too much money too early, dude. Anyways, enjoy these highlights.
Here's a clip from the latest Broken Sim.
So this guy just goes on like this, just spewing bullshit. And then at the end, he does an appeal to authority. He says, yeah, and you just have to trust the hundreds of thousands of meteorologists and I mean, all these people with degrees.
It's been demonstrated over
exactly.
and over
Brian
again.
Callen sent me a picture of his kid in a tinfoil hat. And I go, Brian, how are you surrounded by so many incredibly intelligent people, yet you love to keep your head deep in your ass?
And in fact, if that company could produce rain like that, believe me, they would be making a lot more money. They'd be like NVIDIA or Google because they would have the power to create this rain wherever you needed it. And that's not what they do.
I don't think he's dumb.
So they're talking about just increasing it a little bit.
He just thinks we're dumb.
So you're going to see a lot of discussion online about cloud seeding.
What do you think there's going to be more discussion on? Cloud seeding or people dying from floods that show up out of nowhere quickly?
Yeah.
That it is a small scale technology.
That guy with the mullet is a mass murderer.
Do you think that you see it when I hear that guy, I think patsy, that guy. I think that guy's a patsy. He's just out there to cover. He's
taking all the arrows.
That's what I mean. Yeah, he's a patsy. He's
maybe he didn't even know he was doing that.
I don't think he. I think he's
but the
just
truth
out there
of the matter is,
as a face for this.
Listen, if you are chemically making something, let's just not even say it's an illegal substance. Let's just say somehow you came up with a way to make your own paint. Right? You're gonna make paint.
Okay.
Paint,
Yeah,
as in paint the walls.
Okay. Yeah.
You make your own paint.
I thought you said paint.
And you're mixing it, and it's
that.
like, let's say it's a 4th of July party, but you're so close to getting that purple paint that you really love, and you're like, if I just tweak this a couple bit, right? Tweak, and suddenly out of nowhere, boom! There's an explosion, and a bunch of people. You get done for that. You get hit with that.
A paint explosion?
Yeah, I'm just trying to.
And you made people purple?
No, they passed away. You
killed people making a color of paint.
Are we allowed to say that on YouTube? This crappy ass platform.
Yeah, I don't think we should. I'll fix it in that.
Okay. Yeah, you kill somebody. You kill a couple people because your homemade paint explodes.
I think it's shmooicide. You can't say like
Shmooicide?
offing yourself.
Shmooicide.
You can't say that kind of.
So.
These are, by the way, we should say anything to do with cloud seeding, etc., is a harmful conspiracy theory, and we find them just reprehensible.
Well, I mean, he is talking about cloud seeding. Why can't we talk about it? Because we say it's evil?
Exactly, it is evil. It's a horrible conspiracy theory to even talk about, Sam. We just
Johnny, why'd you bring me there then?
We want to clarify.
I was so accepting of his description of cloud seeding.
You should be accepting of it because it's a harmful conspiracy.
Listen, he's right. These things, they would make so much money if they could do it, guys. Come on. Let's just.
They just think us so dumb. So Tucker Carlson has been going after the president. Trump called him kooky in response, and it's just been incredibly dismissive of him. So you shared this with me. Tucker is just really committing now to
not acceptable.
This position of, him being at odds with Trump. Here it is.
And I think the real answer is Jeffrey Epstein was working on behalf of Intel Services, probably not American. And we have every right to ask, on whose behalf was he working? How does a guy go from being a math teacher at the Dalton School in the late 70s with no college degree to having multiple airplanes, a private island, and the largest residential house in Manhattan? Yeah. Where did all the money come from? And no one has ever gotten to the bottom of that because no one has ever tried. And moreover, it's extremely obvious to anyone who watches that this guy had direct connections to a foreign government.
We know he
one's
did.
allowed to say that that foreign government is Israel because we have been somehow cowed into thinking that that's naughty. There is nothing wrong with saying that. There is nothing hateful about saying that. There's nothing anti-Semitic about saying that. There's nothing even anti-Israel about saying that. I've spent my entire life pretty much in Washington, where I knew and loved a number of people, including one very close person who worked at CIA. That has never prohibited me from saying, I think the CIA has done some horrible things, murdered a bunch of people, participated in the murder of a sitting U.S. president. It's got a whole trail of crimes. That doesn't make me a disloyal American. It doesn't make me anti-American in any sense. I was born here. My family's been here for hundreds of years. I love this country. That's why I live here. So criticizing the behavior of a government agency does not make you a hater. It makes you a free person.
They can never
It makes
let
you a
that
citizen.
happen.
You're allowed to do that
100%.
because you're not a slave. You're a citizen. And you have a right to expect that your government will not act against your interests, and you have a right to demand that foreign governments not be allowed to act against your interest. That's not creepy. It shouldn't be forbidden. And yet all of us have trained ourselves to believe that you can't say that somehow, that that's like too naughty and forbidden. And the effect of making that off limits has been to create a lot of resentment, and I'll say it, hate online, where people feel like they can't just say, like, what the hell is this? You have the former Israeli prime minister living in your house.
Yeah.
You have had all this contact with the foreign government.
He's
Were
making you do
working
their
on behalf
laundry.
Of Mossad. Were you running a blackmail operation on behalf of foreign government? By the way, every single person in Washington, D.C. thinks that. I've never met anyone who doesn't think that. I don't know any of them that hate Israel, but no one feels they can say that. Why? And I think the longer that we play along with it, the more subterranean and creepy and hateful the conversation actually becomes.
100%.
Better just to say it right out loud. Did this happen? And of course, that question has been asked to the government of Israel, and their answer is, we're not going to tell you.
Yeah.
And I think our answer should be, no. As long as we're sending you money, if you were committing crimes on our soil, we have an absolute right to know, did you do this or not? And yet everybody has been so brainwashed into thinking that's somehow an expression of hate or bigotry, when it's not. It's a baseline question that every U.S. citizen has a right to an answer on. What the hell was this? And by the way, if it turns out that it was nothing.
Anyway, that's.
I'm just going to say
so
this.
right, yeah.
I said this before, and I got a ton of pushback. This stuff is going. Can you take that down? This stuff is going to be why Trump loses.
If you'd like to hear the rest of this episode, subscribe to Broken Simulation in your podcasting app, or check us out at youtube.com/SamTripoli.
Go deep, homeboy. Aaron, open your mind. Drink from the fountain of knowledge. There's lizard people everywhere. That's some interdimensional shit. Wake up, Aaron.
This is only the beginning.
Dude, you just blew my mind.
Tinfoil hat.